They're guys. They do magic. They are the Magic Guys.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 188 of the Magic Guys. This is a wonderful moment. We're all in the house because to my left, we got Nick K.
Welcome to the show, friends.
Yeah, we do. And down below, we got Doug Kahn.
Salutations to the kindred.
Repping the new and improved Magic Guys t-shirts. I've got the old school one before Nick lost the weight, but now we have the beautiful one there. And a little tidbit that I'm happy about that no one will care about is you can now purchase our Magic Guys t-shirt underneath our video on YouTube. You can already see a button to purchase right there, which takes a lot to be able to get access to doing that. But I digress.
Takes 185 episodes.
It only took hundreds and hundreds of hours of chatting, chin wagging to get us here. But Scott Link says, has it started? Yes, it has. I'm guessing it hasn't refreshed on your page yet, but that's all right. And you know what they're talking about? If you're listening to this, they're saying this because we do this show live so we can answer your questions in real time. You can feel the aura. I feel like this is the reason why it's worth doing an online like Zoom style podcast, is because we can interact with all our listeners at the same time. Those stupid people doing in studio podcasts can't talk to anyone. So, Rogan, what do you got? I mean, come on.
Live's where it's at, baby. Come on. Let's go.
That's it.
Wait, doesn't Rogan do Kill Tony though? Isn't he on that show?
Yeah. Well, actually, okay, you're right. In person with a live audience might be the best version, but we'll get there.
We are the pre-show to Kill Tony, so we got that going for us.
Yeah, and Kill Tony did a collab with bloody Chris Ramsey. They have their own Kill Tony deck available.
Like Chris Ramsey wasn't cool enough already.
What don't they do? Has anyone got one? Comment below if you have one of those decks, because I'm yet to see any magicians do, the ASMR box opening.
Are they out? And, can I buy that today?
I think if you go to the Kill Tony merch, that's where you buy them. But
you're such an influencer, Norbido.
It might be the muggles buying them all. I don't know if magicians have even been able to get them.
Of course they have.
They're
the Uber dorks.
Let's bloody get some, okay? Our mission is in the next couple of episodes to be able to show a Kill Tony deck on this episode, so we can technically have Kill Tony on our show before you watch.
Look, what a great way to shine on like the shorts. Kill Tony cards. You're doing tricks with Kill Tony cards. There's going to be people like, those are Kill Tony cards.
You know what? Doug, I'm going to build on this.
Yeah.
You do the trick with using the audio of that comedian with one of their best bits.
Oh, I love it.
We have discovered virality. Like you do a story deck routine, but about what Cam Patterson's talking about the women he's trying to get with and whatever, and it's like the da-da-da-da-da. This is good. Nick, how you doing, man? You're absorbing what we're saying, and something's about to spit out. How you doing, bro?
I'm living the dream, man. It's good to be here. We've been on the road for quite a while, so it's been a while since all three of us have been into the room, as well as everyone else in the chat. Thank you all for being here. In fact, it was a really nice comment well before the show even began, where Thomas said, even Garfield would say he loves Mondays if he knew he had a Magic Guys podcast every Monday to watch. Isn't that queer?
We love you guys.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
We love all you guys who are here, even if you're not here at the moment. We love you, Tim, Thomas, Caden, and Gutbuster Mike, and our good friend, Scotti P.
Scotti P. Speaking of Scotti P.
Scotti P.
Scotti P is a big boy now, The
main event, Scotti P.
Oh, yeah.
He's not a virgin anymore. Yay.
Well, hey, that's not well, actually, he has kids, so that is confirmed. But we started this podcast really to chat about our lives as magicians, but with the undertone that it would help you guys out there in the trenches. You're not going through it alone. And even to inspire some new Magi's or current Magi's that aren't going out there and performing to help you perform more.
Did you just say Magi's?
Yeah, Magi's. Did I say it wrong?
Not for you.
Yeah. Well, you know,
I
it's
mean,
like
you can be a magician, and if there's more than one magicians, there are Magi.
so.
And then if there's more than one Magi, there's Magi's. So that's fine.
Oh,
No,
right. I shouldn't have said the S. Okay.
Oh, it's not
Gotcha.
Magis.
Trying to keep this professional, Morbido.
All right. So, all of you conjurers and conjurettes out there. Did I get that right?
That's good.
We got Scotti sent in a speak pipe having just reflected on his first gig. Now, given he's now since done one more gig after this sending in, but what I love is he's captured his thoughts after this first one. So
Now qualified to give all professional opinions on the Magic Cafe.
now you are a professional magician, so you can give your own advice. You can start your own.
I should not talk for a
podcast.
while. Let's hear what Scotti has to say.
Here we go. I'm just excited. All right. So this is Scotti P. Preface is he's just done his first ever corporate charity gala gig.
What's going on, Magic guys? Just thought I'd check in real quick on how my first gig went. If I had to summarize it in one word, it would be affirming. To elaborate a little bit, it's hard to explain, but I didn't know that I had doubts about being able to perform close-up magic at an event that size until I took my first break and they were doing speeches. I was doing some pocket management, and I had this sudden realization of where I was and what I'd been doing for the past hour. It was, as I said, affirming. 2 key learnings. Have a plan, but be prepared to improvise. I found myself changing routines to suit what the guests' commentary were and their stories while I was doing the effects. And this might be a bit of a hot take, but stick to the routines that you know well, and that'll give you the headspace to insert your personality. That's it. Overall, the night was fantastic. I want to do it again. I will be doing it again. Thank you, everyone, for your support, and enjoy the podcast.
Scotti P on behalf of you guys. Well done, buddy. We are proud of you.
Wait, just say that again, Nick. I'm sure it cut out your voice from that.
Well,
sound.
just on behalf of the Magic guys, well done. We are super proud of you, and anyone else who's actually just using their magic either to perform or just to make someone's day a bit better. Like, well done, my guy. And those are very, very 2 key learnings. Most definitely.
No doubt. You summed up some great advice there. Like you're figuring it out pretty good, seems to me.
Yeah. I mean, how important is it just to know, like, you're just doing the routine, but you allow the jazz to happen around that? You know what I mean? Like, just knowing that, like, you can interact with people, because that's where that X factor is for me, I think. When you meet people and it's that little moment of, like, someone makes a joke or mentions a comment and then you sort of slide it in there. Either into a prediction or a this or a that. Like, it's just, that's so important when you know your routine and you can just focus on performing. Well done, buddy. Well done.
That makes me so happy. Well, goddamn, I could end this podcast now, being pretty happy.
You know what? We could, but keeping in mind this, everything that we've learned, right? It's been through our conversations. Okay. With just normal chats with our amazing people that we interview. Obviously, the wealth of knowledge that Daddy Doug has as well, with regards to history and so forth. But there's another entity about being a magician that a lot of folks don't talk about. And it's something that we've been doing quite a lot regularly, and that is travel. So we thought, let's get together and make a couple of key notes on things that you guys should know as traveling performers. Let's begin.
I didn't make notes. I'll start there.
Hey, and also sidebar, Nick, can you tap on your microphone? I just want to make sure you're speaking out of your. I don't think you're speaking out of that mic. I think it's coming out of your laptop. Be prepared to hear the voice of God, people, because you thought Nick's voice sounded good then, but that's not even coming out of his.
Oh, it's not.
God mic.
I'll be back. It's not letting me choose it.
All right. I'll chat for a second. It's all good. I'm excited to be back here. I've been away, and like Nick was saying, we've been taking turns at being away from the pod a little bit. And last week, I almost was able to make the podcast. I, in fact, said I'm going to be on it. And we had a stream lined up last week or the week before with Brendan Dooley was going to come on. But basically, like, I was overreaching. And it turned out, you know, I probably shouldn't do a podcast the hour before we have to leave for an international flight when I haven't packed yet. And so...
And where were you, Josh Norbito?
Well, drum roll. Ooh, I don't have a drum roll sound. Isn't that weird? Performing at the Singapore Grand Prix, which is their Formula One night race event in Singapore. It's such an epic, event to be traveling to.
It's a big deal. These Formula One races are no joke. Like,
they are such a big following. They're such a big enterprise. Like they
take over the city. Literally, they literally take the city over to run these races, and you can't get to see it for cheap. No, I mean they'll block your window off before they'll let you watch out your hotel window to watch this thing. And I'm just saying, it's a big deal.
No, you're right. It's insane. Like the fans are just crazy there, and tickets start from like $500, but they go all the way up to $5,000. If you want a corporate suite to watch it in aircon, it's like 10 grand. It's like, it's like nuts. And even as performers, like they look after you really well, but they're also like, you have full access to, you know, behind the scenes, but you can't like watch the race. And
wow.
I still did go, but the thing is, I still went wherever I wanted, but they have to say that as a rule because they have hundreds of people from like locals working for the event. So I think that's like kind of a blanket statement.
And plus the power of a magician, they want, you know, you're going to get by with a little more than like, you know, what do you do? I'm the drummer. I'm going to go wander around. Really? You know, but I'm the magician. Okay.
I got to tell you, doing magic for the staff, like the security at the gates, you have to walk past 10 times a day. Man, if I can say anything, because this was a night event, I had one of those super bright thumb tips on me, D lights, the ones that are like super, like an iPhone light kind of brightness,
like the Prisma light, or even brighter than that.
Yeah, like a Prisma light. Yeah. And I would just, you know, even something as simple as that, I would just pull some light out of the night light that was up in there, put it in that person's pocket, and that's it. And even that, they're like, they love you because that
thing lives in my pocket when I know I'm going to be out and about, especially for night events like at bars and such. I maybe don't carry it for corporate events like walk around, but if I'm going out just to goof around and have fun, those lights are a great time. Look, we're going to talk about traveling tips. Let's put this one first and foremost. Like you said, you can use these little moments of magic to ingratiate yourself to situations that might not happen otherwise. You know, you'll hear magicians talk about doing a trick at a travel agent's desk and getting upgraded to first class, things of this nature. So as a magician, always be, you know, looking out for a moment to use your powers to better not just yourself, but their lives too, because they're going to have fun watching the magic.
Yeah. I got to tell you, there is one moment I now realize I should have not done magic. And it was after the event, Sandy and I spent a few extra days in Singapore, and we went on this thing called the mega zip line, which is exactly what it sounds like. But you get hooked up to a giant flying fox, and it goes down over a
It sounds like a good time.
It sounds like a great time. But, you know, I was getting sort of holiday happy, and I showed magic to the instructor before we went on the mega zip line. He was so blown away that he kept losing his train of thought afterwards when he was trying to hook us up. And he was like, he kept, you know, going to check my thing, and he's like giving us the safety instructions. And he's like, so when you're up there, you want to, I'm sorry, I'm just so blown away. Sorry, I can't think straight. And then, but he would do that. He did that like 4 or 5 times. Like he was just so overwhelmed because he's never experienced magic, which, you know, I kind of forget sometimes like what it's like for the first time. And so I was like, oh shit, is he like done everything properly? Because he keeps having to stop what he's saying to catch his own thoughts and be like, hang on, sorry, I'm trying to. Yeah, that happened so fast. I'm like, yeah, no, thanks. Great. Please make sure this harness is not going to, fall off. So that was a funny part that maybe I should have waited till after. But otherwise, it's always, when I'm traveling, I always will make sure I have a deck of cards in my pocket, or a double cross, or a D-light, or rubber bands, or a coin. Yeah, because it just comes up so much, doesn't it? When you're traveling. Nick, let's do a mic test. Mike.
Yeah, it won't let me select anything. Like before we started, selected this microphone, but it won't let me select any other microphone that I have. Only the default.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Must be
now
an
the question is, do you hold the microphone just to feel natural, or do you just put it
No,
down?
you just tell me to talk into it, so it's a habit.
Well, hey, we were just talking about getting a mixer for Nick, and maybe this when you need one. Anyway, let's get into it. Wait, on Spotify, it's going to enhance your audio. You're going to sound amazing anyway. So
okay.
we're talking about travel guide for magicians. What hot takes should you know? Should you think about? Should you prepare for? And so all we've covered so far, Nick, is that you should have some magic on you for when you're traveling, because moments always come up where it's kind of nice to show people magic, and sometimes it gets you some extra perks, like at an airport, like taxis.
Also, just make sure you carry as much of your show as you can in your carry-on. There's several reasons for that. One might be that your luggage can get lost, and that does happen. There is another thing in which I learned this before it became an issue, thankfully. I was flying with Virgin, and they explained to me that if you fly to 2 locations within a 24-hour period, they will send your luggage to the final destination. So I was performing in 2 locations in this 24-hour period. I was performing in Adelaide for the Crows, and then I had to fly to Townsville for the Cowboys. Right, it was a whole bunch of football-based things. And what happened during that time was they asked me, do you need your bag here? And I was like, yes. And they explained to me that future reference, that could happen. So imagine how bad that would have been if I was doing my show and it didn't arrive, or it was all the way in Townsville. There is no way out of that. So either one, carry a backup show or something that you can do, but as much of your show on your carry-on is probably the safest way out of that. So that's a pro tip.
That is a pro bloody tip, and one that I've heard before and should be repeated, because without our gear being flown somewhere to perform, it's not great.
I was reflecting on a tip Jeff McBride gave right before you came back, Nick. We were talking about, like, you might get an upgrade at a airport, like a first class, if you do magic for the ticket person. Jeff also advises doing magic for the people you tip. So if he's given a tip to someone, he might like pull a rainbow silk out of the money he's giving, or produce it for them, or something to that nature, insinuating that these are the people that can really make your life easier on the road, be it with a genuine bit of advice for the locale or upgrading your situation. So as we're sharing our magic amongst, employees and possibilities to make our lives better, when you're giving a tip to people, think about that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Also, circling back to carry-on, having the correct carry-on luggage can be very handy as well. I happened to stumble upon an amazing product or bag made in Tasmania. They're called Hentley, and they have a bag called the Co-Pilot. And effectively what it is, it's a suit bag that wraps around like a giant tube. So you can put your entire show in this tube and then wrap your bag around, like your suit around it, and then you wear it as a backpack. And it is something that I use on a weekly basis, and flying with it is magnificent because it's got space for my laptop or iPad or anything else that I might need for the trip. But that is one thing that is super duper handy to have.
So your suit encircles everything? Is that what happens?
Yeah. So imagine you have like a giant tube. About 15 liters of space. I don't know how many badgers that is, but because that's how we measure things in the US. But the cool thing about having the bag, the wraps around it, is it prevents. Yeah, we only measure things in badges when it comes to the States. So I think effectively the suit that wraps around it is several good things. So one, your suit's nicely pressed. It's in a circle and it's not being crushed. The important thing about that is that when sometimes you get to your gig, you may or may not have time to iron it.
Yeah. So if you roll it, it's less likely to have visible creases.
Correct.
This is genius advice.
Ooh,
Glad I'm here tonight.
That's awesome.
As far as costuming and suits go, another point, mohair. I only wear mohair for several reasons. It helps with my concealment. It's a lightweight but very thick. It's a bougie type of fabric. Don't get me wrong. The reason being, it's actually made from like Angora goat and blended with alpaca wool. Like it's quite a luxury item. But the beauty
Never
of
even heard of it. How do you spell mohair?
it's Mohair, mohair.
Oh, suit.
Yeah. So all my suits are mohair for this reason, because they don't crease very easily. And they basically like require next to no ironing. So
Great.
that's super important. Now, if you get to a location and you have the opportunity to iron your clothes, fantastic. Outside of that, there is, I have travel steamers as well if I do need them. I bought one that was quite expensive, but it was super lightweight. It weighs like 50 grams. And you just put a little bit of salt, a little bit of water, and you plug it in, and it produces steam. So you can steam your suits before you perform as well. So that's one of the things that if you're performing at a level, you are traveling internationally or interstate, there is sort of an expectation that you look good, perform good. And that's kind of a tip that I wanted to share with you guys.
Maybe you don't even have a hotel. Maybe you're hot to trot, just jumping off the plane, going to the event, and you got to be ready to fix everything on the go. Not only is there no iron in the room, but there's no room.
If you're going straight to the event, I think you have to basically wear your outfit.
But if you fly in, are you wearing the suit? Maybe not, because...
Yeah, maybe you'd fold it in half and put it in the check thing. But I remember back in the day, you could ask the host to hang your jacket. Like back in the day when I would take a suit thing, they'd be like on Qantas, they'd be like, "Oh, would you like me to hang that for you?" I'd be like, "Holy crap, they have a suit like closet for businessmen." But if I can jump on with because this has caught me a couple of times. Hotel irons are shite, and they buy the cheapest ones, and no one's checking 500 irons in their hotel rooms to check that they're good. So sometimes what has happened in the past is it just basically burns a black thing into your sleeve of the shirt you're about to iron, and it's because it hasn't been used in a while. You put some water in it, and when it blasts out the steam, it just blasts out all the dirt that's in there as well at the same time, and it burns all these little, basically the circles of the iron straight onto the collar or sleeve of your thing. So what I've learned now, and what I always do, is for the first like 20 seconds, I will iron the ironing board like at the end there, and that just gets out any of the crap that's going to be the immediate shot of stuff.
God, I love these hot tips.
Yeah.
You kidding
so
me?
iron the iron board first.
So good.
Then sit the iron upright, because sometimes it'll release pressure and shoot out a spud of water, but do that away from you, and then do it again, and then iron like the corner that's like tucked into your shirt. That wouldn't matter if you got something on there. I've been caught out a couple of times over the years, and so now that's like religious. I even do that with my own iron, so I don't not do it.
Yeah, I also do it just because it tends to leak water when you first use it sometimes, and it can just wet your shirt. So you got to put on like a half wet shirt sometimes. So it's always good to just do a little safety patch to begin with, and then go, all right, well, now let's iron my stuff, because nothing worse than being soggy before you even get on stage. The Iron Guys podcast.
The Iron Guys. I love it. So, yeah, that's a great tip. Okay. Yeah. So many good tips. It's like, by the way, if anyone has any specific travel guide questions, please let us know.
Absolutely.
One thing, there was something that came to mind that it's gone from my head, but let's jump to... Okay, go for it.
Noise cancelling headphones.
Ah, yes. You've mentioned this once before, but it's pertinent for this episode. Let us in.
Absolutely. Just a little bit of shut the hell up is really handy on a plane. It's handy, and especially if it's also just a little moment for everyone else to be like, I don't wish to be engaged as well. So you can go into your own spot and you can rest. Being able to rest before a show is one of the most luxurious, wonderful things you get to have. If you're anything like me, people are like, oh no, I got to be in a flight for 10 hours. I'm like, you mean sit still and watch movies for 10 hours? Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Some practical things. Forks will get taken off you in security if it's in your carry-on. If you're doing liquid metal, you can't take your forks, okay? They just fucking get taken off you. It's really frustrating. You're like, you don't understand. I'm not using them to eat or stab people. I'm using them to... Anyway, they take them off you. But you can take a lighter, so go figure. So you can... And I'd always not been sure about this. Magicians have asked me, you use some flash paper in your gig. You can take flash paper on a plane. Airports don't know what it is. Just put it in your luggage. I have had it in my pockets before. It doesn't get brought up, not even on the swabs when they're testing for bombs and stuff.
Can I just say something off the back of that? Because I can't tell you how many times I've talked to magicians, they're just like, yeah, man, I made it through with flash paper. And I'm like, I've literally gone up to the guy that tests for drugs and I said, my man, swipe this and tell me if I can bring it on the plane or not. And he pulled up the screen and he showed me these tick boxes. He's like, this is for all the stuff we can check, and the stuff that's ticked is what we do check. That stuff does not come up as a no-no on our screen. And I was like, cool. So if you guys think that you're like scamming the system for like hiding your flash paper, you're wrong. There is like, you can do it. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah, because technically, if you have a lighter, you could light anything on fire, and a thing that ignites and is done in 1 second technically isn't that of a risk. So so what I'm saying is you can take flash paper, just keep it somewhere that's not going to get lost in your luggage or like torn apart from other stuff. I put it in a book typically. You can have a lighter. I took a lighter with me all the way to Singapore. It just has to be on your carry-on, or like they want it to be on you, like in your pocket or whatever. So if something was to happen to it, you'd know straight away. So you can take a lighter, you can take flash paper, you can't take forks. So that's just got to go in your checked luggage. But other than that, you can take most of the stuff, which you should take as much as you can on the plane with you. If you use an audio ape device like I do to run music, if your audio ape, which is just a music controller is what I'm talking about, a remote controller, if you put that in your carry-on, they will have questions about it because it has so many wires and stuff, and it comes up on their X-ray machine. So for me, I just put it in my checked luggage because it's not worth having to stop every time. But you have to take the power bank with you in your carry-on. It has to be in your stuff that's with you on the plane, because obviously airports don't allow you to have power banks, but sometimes you don't think about it like a power bank because it's just part of your show.
In checked luggage, no power bank?
Yeah, they don't allow it. And like going on the plane, you check the carry-on, you can, but checked luggage under the plane, they will take it out. And I lost one.
Wow,
Security left me the pocket that I keep the power bank in. That was very nice of them, but they took the power bank out.
Wow.
And it was an audio ape one, which is a high powered one. So I had to buy a new one. Yeah. So power banks for your running your music or whatever, or gimmicks, whatever. Yeah. Just keep it in your carry on.
Yeah. The check what limits you can sort of fly with, because ultimately the lithium batteries are a little volatile as far as with compression. And when they go bang in a big way. It's the electrolytes in those batteries that can make a bad time burn for a very long time. I think you can only have 1,000 milliamps or 100 milliamps. Don't take me for it. Do your diligence and check how many milliamps you can take with you. But yeah, ultimately try to get the biggest one you can, of course. But power banks are a safety and they're important for several reasons. If you have devices in your show that you need, whether it be some kind of impression pad or anything of that nature, or you just need it to be able to run your audio, power banks are important.
So that's the one I'm using. It's just branded because I bought it with the audio ape. So it's just like it will run for hours and hours and hours. I don't have to check that my thing's still working. And then and this is what I mean by my music player. Like, there's just so many things going on in here that going through an X-ray machine is just, they're just like, what the hell is that? So as far as like going on the plane, that would be my main practical tips. Did you guys have any others for the actual plane portion?
So many.
Traveling. So many.
No one's mentioned AirTags yet. We've had some great stories where magicians have used AirTags to save their life. So when traveling with any luggage, something that you can, ping it is invaluable in this day and age.
You're so
Be
right.
prepared to fight for it if your name's Trig Watson.
Yeah. If you haven't listened to the Trig Watson episode, do your diligence and roll back a few episodes. There is quite a story to be had.
It was half the episode, I think.
Correct, but the value, the value of an AirTag and being able to keep track of your important bits of your show. Give that a listen, and that'll explain everything you need to know as to why you would actually need an AirTag. But furthermore, being on the plane, I think that depending on what length of flight you're doing, just one of the things that I always want to keep in mind is when you arrive, some people can arrive after flying pretty disheveled and so forth because they're either dehydrated, which is one of the key things you want to sort of keep in mind. Hydrolytes are key. Like for me, like when I treat performing as if I was going to go do a marathon or about to go do it like a run. Like I make sure that like I'm healthy, I'm hydrated, I'm fed, I'm got everything I need. I don't rock up to a gig being like, I'm a bit hungry, I'm going to do half a show. Like it's just not going to work in your favor. So one of the things that a lot of folks don't invest in, who I have traveled with, is neck pillows. I have a particular neck pillow which retail at about $100, and it's more like a full neck brace, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. No matter how you black out, you're not going to wake up with your head tilted and get there with a sore neck. Nice. I can recommend that. In fact, when I just recently flew back from Malaysia, on the way there, I saw one of the bridesmaids at the airport, and she was complaining how her neck was hurting because she was headbanging to the music the night before. And I actually gave her my neck brace. I'm like, try find one of these. They're going to save your neck. So
that's
can
handy.
recommend that.
Yeah. The neck pillows. There's even a thing now called a face cradle if you're on a super long flight, where it just hang your neck. Your face literally is. It's like a hammock, but for your head. That's cool. You look pretty weird using it, but I know my sister-in-law has one, but that's fine. Okay, so a little tip when you're traveling. A lot of us, including me, won't eat well when traveling because you kind of got to find whatever you can. And something about like what Nick's saying, you don't want to perform hungry, you don't want to be off your game. So I will normally travel with choc chip muesli bars that are, mostly grain, but they have choc chips in there. And I've found for me, if I have to down 2 of them an hour before a show because there's nothing available to me except for like terrible food like McDonald's or whatever, that will power me through. And I've had many a times where having some muesli bars on me has saved my life because I otherwise wouldn't have eaten for the next 3 hours or something like that. Take snacks with you because you don't know what's going to be available when you are traveling.
To your point, I actually keep a couple of protein bars in my close-up kit for that reason. Sometimes you're just doing shows back to back and you don't have time. You might want to just wash one down while you're in traffic, or, typically I try to get to events 30 minutes prior. So I've got 30 minutes to prep my show. You can have a mouthful of something as you're kind of getting ready. That's kind of important. But speaking of food, if I may.
Speak about it. Preach.
I always struggle with airline food because if you don't know, airline food is designed to plug you up. Like it is designed to make you not take a crap, genuinely. And the reason being is that if you've got a plane with hundreds of people on there and everyone eats and everyone's got to rush to the toilet, take a dump at the same time because we've all eaten at the same time, it becomes bad. And bro, I always, like, after eating any airline food, I don't crap for like 2 days. It's just the worst time. And so can recommend a very mild laxative when traveling, especially internationally. And if you don't, you'll end up like me and plugging the toilet at the motel room. So,
well, if
we're getting the real work tonight.
Yeah,
oh, man.
You know what's
I
funny is
I actually brought these over. I was like, these are important. These are cold.
This is the kind of information you're not just going to get just anywhere.
Yeah.
You know? Some magic
Capsule.
podcast will cover this kind of information up, but
It
no,
says
we're
that
telling you
it's-
right now.
It says it's got Senna in it. I don't know what that is, but there is a famous Formula One driver called Senna, so I thought it must work fast. So I grabbed one. You're supposed to take like 6 of these.
Oh my.
And I only take like 2 just to be like, I'm not going to struggle when I'm there. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's important, dude. Like,
No. Yeah. You know what? And so I have the opposite experience to that, in which I was excited. I had a revelation going on the Singapore flight, and it was because the food clogs you up, I can enjoy an entire flight. So because I have Crohn's disease, I've talked about it over the years on the pod, it's all under control, but your bowels are like just more frequent than other people. So my thing is always like, am I going to be able to get to the toilet on a plane at the moment I need to, when the aisle isn't blocked by the staff serving or whatever? Because if like it's during landing or when they're serving, like you're in trouble. And when it comes to Crohn's, if you eat something your stomach doesn't like, it will tell you like you have to go to the bathroom right now. But to show you that we're serious, you've only got 2 minutes. And it's like, I hope I have 2 minutes, and you need to make that decision to get there. So going on a plane, I'm like, oh my God, this is kind of very stressful and worrying. So, and I'll be honest here, I double up my underpants. I wear 2 layers of those bad boys just in case. I just want to be prepared. I don't want to make it on the news as the guy who had diarrhea on the plane and they had to land suddenly or whatever. So I was
just saying, free press.
No, yeah. So I plan out the trip. I'm like, all right, it's like I picked seats that are like close to the bathroom. Like, okay,
always.
So
not always a good idea.
Yeah, but we get on the Singapore flight. It's going to be whatever it is, 6.5 hours or something. Eat the food. I'm like 2 hours in. I'm like, if I was at home, I would have gone to the bathroom by now. But nothing. 3 hours go by. Nothing. This is sweet. 4 hours go in. I've watched 2 movies. I haven't gone to the bathroom. I love this flight. Anyway, I get through the whole flight. Didn't have to go to the bathroom at all. I'm eating everything. Every time they come past, you want a drink? Yeah, I'll have a drink. And I'm good. And so for me, it's bloody amazing. And then everything hits me early in the morning after the flight. So I've gone to the hotel, gone to sleep in the morning. That's when all... I don't need laxatives is what I'm saying. And then it happened coming home as well. I'm like, this is great. I can just watch movies, lady that's on our seat by the aisle, you can go to sleep. I'm not going to wake you during this flight because I know I'm good with their clogging up food. So anyone who's worried about, any bowel issues like with flights, you're fine. Just eat the food.
Well, the airline food is engineered for that, and you're the perfect example of what that's like when you don't actually.
I need to get like a subscription to that food. I need that like at home. That's what I need.
You just sprinkle some like constipation.
Yeah, add some
suddenly
into my food.
I feel like we've had one tip too many. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, we might have gone too far. Okay,
going so well.
I discovered these in Singapore. This is a cool pack that is ready to go at any point. You basically take it out and you just pull off the strip and you stick it to your body. It's a gel that's sort of ready to use. And in Singapore, it's absurdly hot and humid all the time, but especially when I went there last week for Formula One. I'm wearing a jacket over a t-shirt and I'm wearing jeans. And I did my rehearsal day, and I'm like, holy crap, it's hot out here. Even though my act is 5 minutes, like doing this 3 times a day for 3 days, this is not great. So I didn't have access to a Arctic cooling vest, but at the 7-Eleven, they sold this. It's called Cool Fever. Anyone listening, it's KOOLFEVER. And they sell these to put on your child's forehead if they have a fever. They're saying when they go to bed, you put this on their head, it will keep them cool during the night. But really, it's so that magicians can try and stay
put
cool
those in between the first and second layer of the underwear. And it cradles and just keeps everything cool from the inside out.
That way you're not losing sperm.
Absolutely. So what this looks like when you take one out is you've got this, as you can see, this
that's going to be much too big for your underwear.
Well, speak for yourself. And then you take one off. Let me peel it off. And now,
so it looks like a used period pad from the commercial where it's all blue and white fabric. For those listening right now, or something. Yeah, and so it's being peeled back. That's
so weird.
Translucent, almost light blue gel.
Yeah. And so they're saying you put it on your forehead. So I didn't, but I'll put it on my forehead for the moment. Ooh. Yeah. And now I can tell you this is instantly cold. This pack, even though it's just being put on here, and so now I could just leave this here and look like a weirdo.
So it's like chili cold. It's like cool.
It's like a damp cloth. It's not ice, but it's noticeably chilled. So what I did was I would take 2 of them and I would stick them on my lower back, and they would stay in place. Now, it's not cooling my body completely all the way down, but it is noticeably, I can feel it under my jacket in that hot heat. And it did help like 5%, which I'll take it, These are it was like $10 for this pack of.
You try it on the back of your neck, see if that actually does have any cooling. Because when you are overheating, you would typically put some ice or a bottle of water on the back of your neck to try cool down. So it's about cooling down like blood flow. So if I was going to put it anywhere, I'd put it on the back of my neck or perhaps on my arms. That's one of the quickest ways to cool your body down. Like if you were wet here and got air on your forearms, or put ice on your forearms, because you have blood flow going through this portion of your body, and the skin's relatively soft on the inside of your forearm, it allows your blood to cool down. And that's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're trying to cool your blood down in order to be able to function. So
putting it on my neck, it definitely hits that spot and goes, boom, this is cold. It's not staying on very well because of the hairs on my neck, but it is cooling. I was using it more so when I was on stage and stuff, it would be doing something to kind of slow down my heat up process, which is why I just chuck them, because my lower back your lower back is pretty sensitive. It's like when you go to get in a pool and you're like, oh my God. But the neck's good. Like if you're trying to cool down, instead of, I'm trying to prevent from heating, but if you're cooling down, it's great. So I don't know. These are, it's like, I don't know if it's, when you're wearing them for a long time, I don't know if it is a placebo, but even if it is, that's still doing something, So a little travel tip, I found them.
A little bit about this gig you were doing. You said you were doing stage for 5 minutes several times a day. Is that right?
Yeah. So
talk about that.
The quick format on that is, so they hit me up, and it's Formula One is over 3 days.
Yeah.
And what they were trialing was a new type of entertainment, which was to have an entertainment stage. So they have obviously the raceway, they have the whole racetrack. They have a big stage within the racetrack as well, where all if you pay the most expensive ticket for a seat to watch Formula One, you would also be able to see this big stage, which is where they had a lot of celebrities performing.
All right.
But they also have another mega stage in the entertainment district, which is where they would interview the racers, and 1,000 people would come and watch. And they would also have big acts like One Republic and Kylie Minogue and Lenny Kravitz and all these guys performing on this big stage. But then they had a smaller stage, which they built to look like a ship. They called it the sail stage. And people could come and sit it really drew a crowd in there because it was undercover and it's so hot. People could go
Yeah.
undercover, sit down, and they would have
Right.
acts playing all day, whether it was a DJ or dancers, or they had some Cirque acts, which they brought in from Vegas. They had, I made friends with this guy whose performing name is Black, but he's from Japan. He's a yo-yo champion. He used to perform in Curious by Cirque du Soleil, and he was there. And just like all
That's
these
the guy you did the
world-class-
short with the vanishing. God, I love that clip.
Absolutely. And then they got me from Brisbane.
What a cool gig,
And-
man. That sounds like a rock and roll situation, except for the heat, you know?
It was honestly amazing. I was the
Yeah.
only magician they had there
Okay.
in all of Formula One. So they could have, and I'm going to kill my ego here. I got this gig because 2 other magicians said no before me. One was Jeremy Tan, because he lives in Singapore, and they ask him every year, and he's always on cruises. So because he was away and cruising, that took that out. Dom Chambers, I got a shout out as well. He did this gig last year, and for his own reasons, whether he's busy or not, said no to it this year.
It's
So-
too hot.
That's how I got it. Yeah. But when Dom did it last year, they had him doing strolling magic throughout the.
Yeah, that's what I thought you would be doing there.
venue.
I
And-
couldn't think of you several times on a stage. So when you said
Yeah.
that, I'm like, what's
So-
going on?
It's way too hot to rove out in the sun. So I understand exactly why Dom didn't go
Yeah.
this year. And I think they learned from that. So that's why this year they had a stage. Okay. So what they would do is people would come out in just 5-minute bursts, because 5 minutes is short enough that you're not going to overheat. So I essentially came out and did I had to do, so this is its own conversation, and I'm trying to keep it as quick as I can, but they reached out to me and I sent them acts I could do. And my whole thing is being able to interact with an audience, right? That's kind of like what makes up my show, is me talking, improving, that kind of thing. They're like, can you do that act but without bringing someone on stage? And I'm like, well, I could, but why not? Because I can do it in 5 minutes, and that's kind of what's going to make me different to like the non-speaking acts you have on stage. And they're like, oh, well, in Singapore, people the audience is pretty nervous, so you might find it hard to get someone on stage. And I'm like, I don't think I will. I think I'd be able to get someone on stage, but I also want the gig, so I'm not trying to fight them so much. So I'm like, all right, look, I can do my AGT act, the dance routine, finding cards, but I'll do it where I'm finding 4 aces. So now it's not like pick a card and let me find them. Let's just do like a dancing kind of manipulation act, but it's just me finding 4 aces. So then they liked that, but that doesn't feel 5 minutes. So I had to make, for the first time ever, a 5-minute like visual non-speaking act that I could just do for an audience.
Yeah.
And it essentially consisted of like, and I used lots of flash paper because that's what I had on me. I'm like, flash paper to produce a coin, then do a bottle production. Then, I hate that I had to do this in Singapore, but I did the balloon swallow. So then I bring out the balloon pump. I walk out into this second stage to music. So I had to make this whole music track with sound effects and stuff. Just balloon swallow, come back on stage. I'm like, you can hear the dog moving in my stomach, like all the little squeaks. I like bring it back up into a bag and pull out the balloon dog, and then flash paper produce the cards, and then I go into my dance act and I finish. And it all happens in 5 minutes.
Nice.
So they would have me do that throughout the day, so 3 different points. And then between the stage acts, they would get me to do just per day 1 or 2 30-minute close-up spots in like the VIP suite areas, which is all aircon and indoors and very fun, and everyone's like very gracious to watch magic because they're trying to enjoy their ticket as much as they can.
Sure.
So yes, the gig consisted of these 5-minute short spurts mixed in with like an hour a day of close-up magic to very rich people that just love magic. Met a lot of Australians there as well. So many Aussies.
Yeah, because
Even though I've gone
this clientele
halfway
is
around.
international, right? The people that are there spending $10,000 a ticket are not necessarily from Singapore.
100%. And I saw like they had the Formula One sim racing, and all I could do was think of Nick and our friend Kerry, the amazing Nigel, and be like, man, you guys would have killed this. But I'm underappreciating what I'm seeing here. And anyway, so that's what happened. I'll leave it there. If anyone has any other questions about it, please reach out to me. Let me know if you want to know.
What
whatever,
about this question from Tim asking? Will you be excited to do it again, or will you be calling someone like Dom did?
I will definitely do it again. Now knowing what the format is, what I want to do is create an act for Formula One that's involving cars or elements of cars.
This is the advantage of the Minute Pack. You got 7 to 9 minutes of silent visual magic. You can really work the world. There's a lot of guys who've done it.
Yeah, and they were right, because sometimes there would be no one in that entertainment district because there's a famous person on the other main stage, or a race has just finished. So there would be, I'm talking 5 people in an area that could fit, 200 people, but they still want us to do our acts. Yeah. So sometimes me and the other guys, we're like, all right, let's go and give those 4 people the best fucking time of their lives. And we would just go and watch each other and laugh about it later. But it's so funny.
You never know. Those 4 people could be sheiks on the other side of the planet and pay you a bunch to go and perform in their palaces. You're
so right. You're so right. Yeah. But there is something to be said about it, going out and doing that. And 2 of the people are not even, they're facing the other way because they're just out of the sun and just on their phone, and they're just not even. Yeah. It's like a shopping mall experience.
Right, we're here for the chair.
Yeah.
It's so, but such a good experience. I'm so honored to be paid well to go and fly there and bring my partner as well. It's it's insane. But I never thought I would do a silent act without talking and stuff. And my God, it's actually given me a reason to look into it. Okay. But I guess it's relevant to talk about because it is traveling. But Nick, what other travel tips do you have for us, my friend?
Well, on the underside of with toilet issues was just
oh my God, really? We're not done with that.
Just to keep in mind,
gotta come back to it.
Well, if we're gonna talk crap, let's talk crap. I was gonna say gastro pills are important to keep on you. Especially if you're going to be a cruise ship person, gastro is one of those things that tends to sweep through the entire ship at any one time, especially if you're in that sort of buffet type environment. So, just keep
layman's terms, gastro pill. What? I don't know that. What's a gastro pill?
Oh, I'd say so. Gastro can result in you having a very upset tummy and basically crapping your brains out. Anything that goes in comes out immediately.
Yeah.
I carry at any one time at least 4 gastro stop pills.
So you have go medicine and stop medicine. So you can solve any problem.
Life is great.
Nick is well lubed both ways.
And you wouldn't think to pack something like that, but for a seasoned traveler, it's a necessity.
Every cruise ship guy I know always carries them. Even Levent I was lecturing alongside Levent, and he was like, always carry these. And I was like, right on.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you need that stuff. All right, what about if you're driving? What about travel guide for driving to a gig? Doug, America's such a big place. I imagine you have to do some distance traveling sometimes.
Boy, have I put some wheels on cars in this country. Yes, indeed.
What comes up in those situations?
Wow.
I imagine you don't have a green room to get dressed. You're just using your car.
So it's not unusual that I might, stop. It depends on, how far you're traveling, but there's a lot of good travel centers you can get a shower at, and so if you got to drive 6-8 hours, jump in this place and freshen up, and you get a full shower, stay in there as long as you want, for like $10 or $15. That's an option. That's also good for if you're a busker on the road. This is commonplace knowledge, but
yeah. I always aim to get to a gig 30 minutes prior, but if I'm driving to a gig that's like an hour out of town or so, or a couple hours out of town, I will aim to get there 1 hour before the gig begins.
Yeah.
Just you never know what a flat tire could take. anything of that nature, roadblocks. I've actually, I've sadly gone to events, on open windy roads through, through the rainforest here. We have one called the Black Spur, and it's very popular for sports cars to go through. And there was an accident in which somebody actually and they blocked the road off. Damn. And that added 45 minutes to my drive. They were like, it's a crime scene, divert. And I was like, I didn't even want to complain about it, thinking that like a car had been wrapped around and someone lost their lives. But these things can happen. And so you need to take a moment and go, out and around. It's the same thing if you're going to be doing a fly in, fly out type gig. Not to circle back to flying, but I will always catch the earliest flight possible, because I've had scenarios where my friends have called me and said, I got a gig for Samsung and my flight's delayed. And I was like, why didn't you catch the first? Why didn't you catch the first flight? Like, if you catch the first flight, there's very little that can screw up, Granted, you got to waste half a day, but you're better off doing that.
We should have named, it's worth naming this episode that, Get the Early Flight. Because don't be the cool guy that's going to fly in half an hour before the gig and then the gig's 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
All that has to happen is that flight is delayed or cancelled and they put you on the next one and you're fucked. You can't do you've just lost thousands of dollars and can't do the gig now. Yeah. So absolutely, I will try and get there. Like if my gig's at night, I'm getting there at lunchtime. I'm, at least. And so if it's a morning gig, because I'm like, I would do keynotes with my Magic of Sales thing. So I would present at a conference like during the morning. You have to fly the day before. You have to. So that can definitely get you. If you're driving too, one thing that just caught me out once was if it's a place you haven't been to and it's a few hours away, just make sure there's no time zone change between you and that place.
Oh,
because I had planned to get to this place called Kyogle, and I didn't think to check that it's in New South Wales technically. So it's an hour earlier than my time. So I had planned to get there like an hour and a half before the show started. And as soon as I went through these mountains, which lost phone signal, I popped out on the other side and my time just went, you're not an hour and 15 minutes early. You're 15 minutes early. And I'm like, holy crap.
Wow.
So that's a little tip. Yeah. Just, I hope it helps one person at least, because I was able to do it, but I was insanely rushed and anxious now because I'm like no longer as early as I thought.
Yeah.
That's worth mentioning. Check your time zone. It might mess with you.
Here's one that we didn't talk about: wheels. Keep everything on wheels. Your luggage, I got my show bag has wheels on it. I set this aside. I love this thing. I keep this in my car. This is like a portable dolly.
Yeah, I got
so I can unfold this thing out and it'll wheel around 200 pounds. If I'm busking, this is what wheels around my keyboard stand and showcases and amplifier.
Holy moly.
It's a Magna Cart if you're interested.
They're really good. As this episode slowly draws to a close, we're not always traveling to perform, for example, right? Sometimes we're going leisurely. I would like to share 2 tidbits as we wrap this up for how to enjoy a magic convention. I think that even though we're not gigging, this could be kind of essential for you guys. And I think just 2 very important things. One of the things you're going to deal with at a magic convention is sleep deprivation. You are going to be up all night jamming. You're going to go to bed late. You're going to get up early to catch all the lectures and all the cool stuff. It's going to happen. I recommend getting pre-workout. If you don't know what that is, a little something that healthy people take. Josh, I'm sure you have one. And then you pop it in your drink, shake it up, but it gives you a boost of energy, a little bit of mental focus, and can allow you to sort of power through the day, not feeling so exhausted.
Let me advise the uninitiated to have some test runs with this, because you've given this tip before. And I was like, let's go with the pre-workout. And I was like, pre-workout. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I take what Scotty P's just written down, C4. It's not it's not the most extreme pre-workout you can take, but it's a good middle ground and it's a good starting point. If someone
into the drug world.
It's got lots of like healthy vitamins and stuff, but it has a high hit of caffeine. and some stuff that'll make your body tingle if you don't start moving your body a bit. It's great stuff. It makes you want to do 1,000 push-ups.
Yeah. I take pre-shred. I don't know.
Is that before you do the? Never mind.
No, if you're gonna do drugs, just don't worry about the pre.
No, I wasn't going there. I was going back
you
to
don't
the
need
bathroom
it.
humor.
Like, hand to God, you don't even need it. Like, you take that stuff and you're on it. Like, it's really, really good.
What's the other one besides doing speed? What's the other tip you have for?
If you're an Aussie and you're coming to visit your friends in the US, politely buy some Tim Tams. It's a really nice gift for all your friends in the US that don't ordinarily have an opportunity to try that. If you don't know what a Tim Tam is, it's basically a native biscuit. That's one of the most delicious things you can have. Josh and I have spoken about how to actually eat these. We have like a Tim Tam bomb in your mouth. So it's just a fun experience to be able to give somebody. And if you do that and give it to a couple of your heroes, they will remember you. It's a nice little way to make an impression.
Yeah. Pro tip, David Regal loves Tim Tams. He was gifted some when Christopher Wayne met him and they went to the Magic Castle. He freaking loves Tim Tams, which I learned. So yeah, it's basically a chocolate biscuit engulfed in just more beautiful chocolate. It's like a finger biscuit kind of thing. It's like a long and narrow kind of chocolate, and you got to have it. It's great. They're great. It's great. We're great. And I think we have a picture incoming.
There it is.
Boom.
You can get these in the United States at the World Market. My wife used to put some time into this joint and bring home snacks. She would bring those home, and they are good. You're right. I can't believe our travel tips ended up with Tim Tam recommendations, but here we are.
Right, that's
and perfect. If they clog you up, you take the little round pills, right, Nick? Is that the one?
You take the out pills.
The out pills.
The out pills.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Green means go.
I have 2 left.
Scotty P is saying dip your Tim Tams in the pre-workout C4. I don't know if that's a good idea, but that's interesting. That is interesting. Oh, and here we have the Kill Tony custom playing cards. Are they still available on that site?
2,500 were printed. Get one now. I edited a cart and proceeded to checkout, and it's letting me do that. So it's killmerch.com. $22.
The moment this ends, I'm buying some because that makes me very happy. Okay, so signing off. What else? Oh, this is going to be in my vlog, but I didn't talk about this at all. But I purchased the Ray-Ban Metas, which are the HD video glasses, and I was able to catch a lot of behind the scenes in Singapore because at Formula One, you're not allowed to take in pro cameras because they don't want people, people love to film stuff in Asia, but particularly if they go to Formula One, everyone's going to have their pro camera. So they didn't really allow them. But I took these and was able to film a lot of behind the scenes and even going through security and stuff. So I'll talk about it in the vlog, but I was going to talk about it here because when you're traveling, this is such an easy way to get vlog footage. And you know how when you go to board a plane and you're walking on the outside and you want to take that shot of the plane from the outside, but the staff are always like, you can't have your phone out on the tarmac. Well, you can have your Ray-Bans out on the tarmac. And you can very easily hit it and record you walking onto the plane from the outside. What a
time to be alive.
I know. Wow. So obviously, that doesn't change the world, being able to get that shot, but it is pretty awesome. So yeah, what can I say? You know what? I might do the final word today. I don't think I've done one for a while.
Yeah, so, your turn.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Here is the final word from Josh Nobito. So we're back, and it's been another episode. I was so excited to come back to this podcast today, and thank you so much for joining us in this time. I just want to leave you with the fact that this was a travel guide, but travel can mean flying somewhere. It can also mean just driving somewhere that's half an hour away, in which case the rule should be to get aim to get to your venue an hour, 45 an hour early, because things always come up and you don't want to be the guy that shows up right on the moment you're meant to start an event. You want to show the client that you care, and you want to get there in enough time that you're not freaking out and rushing in. So I just want to leave you with that. If you're not early, you're late.
Thanks for listening. It's time for us to disappear now. But we'll see you again on the next episode of The Magic Guys.